Welcome everyone, this is Kerjims channel. Now we are back to our new episodes of True Similarity Champions and Comparison, featured by Wildly, League of Legends versus the Mobile Legend Gang. But before that, please like and subscribe to my channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so you'll be notified to our new next episode video. Let's do this!
Zed, the Master of Shadows. Zed is a melee assassin. He relies on sending out living shadows that mimic his basic abilities, allow him to reposition mid-fight, and quickly strike down his foes. When expertly played, Zed can kill his opponents before they even know it hit them. Zed's passive is Contempt for the Weak. Zed's basic attacks against heavily injured targets will deal bonus damage based upon their maximum health. While this passive has no cooldown, it can only strike an individual target once every few seconds. Razor Shuriken fires out from Zed and any of his shadows, damaging every enemy they pass through, but dealing reduced damage to enemies beyond the first. Enemies can be hit by multiple Razor Shurikens, and will take damage from each one, but the extra hits won't deal as much damage as the first. When laning, I recommend taking Razor Shuriken at level 1 and maxing it first for consistent ranged damage output. If jungling, grab it at level 2 and max it by level 13. Living Shadow remains in place for a few seconds, mimicking all of Zed's abilities. Hitting an opponent with both a regular and mimicked ability will refund some energy back to Zed. Zed may also reactivate Living Shadow to swap places with it. Additionally, Living Shadow passively grants Zed bonus attack damage. I recommend grabbing a point in Living Shadow early, but maxing it last in favor of Zed's damaging abilities. Shadow Slash damages nearby enemies, and reduces Living Shadow's cooldown for each enemy hit. Enemies hit by a mimicked Shadow Slash will be slowed. The slow is increased if the enemy is hit by Zed's Shadow Slash as well. When jungling, I recommend taking Shadow Slash at level 1 and maxing it immediately. In lane, try taking it at level 2 or 3 and maxing it by level 13. Death Mark is Zed's ultimate. When cast, Zed dashes to target enemy champion, dealing damage, marking it, and spawning a living shadow behind it. After a few seconds, the death mark will trigger, damaging Zed's target based on how much damage Zed dealt to it while the mark was active. Like with Living Shadow, Zed may reactivate Death Mark to swap places. As with all ultimates, I recommend taking Death Mark whenever available. In lane, try to poke at your opponents as much as possible. Even though Elise is underneath her turret, Living Shadow into Razor Shuriken allows Zed to deal some damage without fear of counterattack. Zed's core damage combo is Living Shadow into Shadow Slash and then Razor Shuriken. If you can hit both Razor Shurikens, you'll deal a lot of damage to your target. As your opponents get lower, reactivate Living Shadow to land a basic attack with Zed's passive, Contempt for the Weak. This ability combo picks up an easy kill on the low health Katarina. When fighting versus skill shot champions, make use of Living Shadow's second activation. Veigar thinks he'll land Dark Matter, but Zed swaps places with Living Shadow to dodge it, and closes in for the kill, picking up a quick 300 gold. When jungling as Zed, make use of Living Shadow's swap to get through the jungle camps faster. Cast Living Shadow across the wall and hit your other abilities, then reactivate Living Shadow to save a few seconds when clearing neutral monsters. Even when laning, use Living Shadow to pick up some extra gold from the jungle camps. Zed hops over the wall with Living Shadow, uses Shadow Slash, and aims Razor Shuriken so that both of them will hit the neutral monsters. Living Shadow can help Zed escape ganks. As Tarek and Jarvan come to gank, a double activation of Living Shadow gets Zed to safety. Now, Shadow Slash will slow Tarek, allowing Zed some easy damage with Razor Shuriken. Living Shadow can also be used to close the distance with Zed's opponents. A double activation puts Zed in range for Death Mark. Hitting all his abilities, Zed is able to burst down Veigar almost immediately, picking up the kill and escaping back behind the turret. Always keep track of your Living Shadow's locations. Zed comes across and bursts down the opposing Master of Shadows almost immediately. However, Katarina comes in to avenge her teammate. Zed simply waits for Shunfo and then swaps places with Living Shadow. Even with Flash, Katarina is unable to catch up and take Zed down. Let's put all of these together in a larger fight. Zed sends out Living Shadow with an immediate Shadow Slash to slow the opponents chasing Lee Sin. However, Zed notices Ash low on health near his Living Shadow. Zed swaps and hits Ash with Death Mark, taking her down with ease before walking away unscathed. I recommend building Zed primarily for physical damage output, with a small emphasis on durability due to his short-range nature. Here's an example build. Try Armor Penetration Marks, Armor Seals, Magic Resist Glyphs, and Attack Damage Quintessences. Run 21-9-0 Masteries, taking all the physical damage increases in offense, plus health regeneration and minion damage reduction in defense. Take Ignite for champion killing when laning, or Smite when jungling, plus Flash for increased mobility. Open with Boots of Speed, Health Potions, and a Doran's Blade or Prospector's Blade. Rush Brutalizer, and take Mercury Treads or Ninja Tabby based upon your opponents. Grab Hex Drinker when needed, and buy Bloodthirster or Sanguine Blade for increased damage output, and follow up with Last Whisper. Your final build should also contain Guardian Angel or Overlord's Bloodmail, Yomu's Ghost Blade or Lord Van Dam's Pillager, and Mauve Malmortius.
It all started in Kinko Monastery in Ionia. Zed was an orphan that was taken in by a great ninja master called Great Master Kusho. Only one other student was able to match Zed's skills, Kusho's son, Shen. Shen and Zed together became the most powerful students in the entire monastery. Even at their young age, they were sent out on elite missions as a team under the lead of Kusho. One of these missions was tracking down the infamous Golden Demon. The Golden Demon was a criminal very well known for leaving brutally humiliated corpses behind. After investigating these horrific crimes for 4 long years, all 3 of them were changed. Kusho's red hair turned white, Shen's sense of humor disappeared, and Zed began to struggle with his studies. Fortunately, Kusho finally found a pattern that led them to the criminal. In the end, it was revealed that the Golden Demon was just a stagehand in a traveling theater, working under the name Kada Jin. It seemed like after all that trouble, it would all have a happy ending. But the damage was already done. When they returned to the monastery, Zed became unstable. Even after all of his training, he still wasn't able to beat Shen. Every time they clashed, it ended in a draw. Frustrated and jealous, he started looking for an advantage. He sneaked inside a sealed part of their temple, where he found an ancient box. He knew he shouldn't open it, but he looked inside nonetheless. In an instant, shadows reached out and touched Zed's mind. The gift he received was a dark knowledge of hidden techniques. The next day, he challenged Shen, and this time, he finally defeated him. He expected recognition in his moment of victory, but the master knew that Zed had used the forbidden ways, and he banished him. Humiliated, Zed wandered Ionia for years. He didn't want the forbidden techniques to go to waste, and so he started training other ninjas that were also interested in the style of shadows. Unfortunately, he knew that his techniques would never be perfect without the box. And so, one day he gathered up his students that were now an entire army, and they marched into Kinko Monastery. When they arrived, Zed was surprised that Master Kusho welcomed them as guests. He laid his blade at Zed's feet, declaring that he had failed Zed as his master. By banishing him, he doomed Zed to the shadows, instead of leading him to balance. He told Zed to follow him inside the temple, destroy the box, and lead his followers to balance as well. Zed did follow him inside. Moments later, everyone outside heard Zed cry out in pain. Mysteriously, he emerged from the temple unharmed, and he threw the severed head of Kusho at Shen's feet. Screaming in rage, Zed commanded his followers to slaughter Kusho's students and take the box. Though many students died, some escaped thanks to Shen's heroic efforts. With Kusho dead, Shen took his place as the leader of the Kinko order. He took his father's spirit blade, which turned him into the Eye of Twilight. He was now forbidden from allowing passion to sway his judgment. His duty was to take care of both the human realm and the spirit realm by bringing them into a state of balance known as equilibrium. Whenever the spirits or the humans started overwhelming the other realm, Shen had to strike without mercy and push everyone back in line. Shen uses two different tools for his job. The Spirit Blade, which allows him to face out into the spirit realm to fight the invisible creatures, and the Ionian Steel Saber, capable of splitting living beings in half with a single strike. Even though Shen walks a lonely path, he doesn't always walk alone. The mortal Shadow Warrior Akali and the lightning-quick Yordle Kennen are always ready to assist him. Throughout the years of successful duty as the Eye of Twilight, many legends about Shen were born. Legends about fighting 7 demon clan in Ionia, battling the Skin Devourers from the Black Steppes of Freljord, or even the story told by the Noxians themselves. Apparently one day, Shen suddenly appeared in the central court of Noxus. It seemed as if he was fighting something invisible to the onlookers. He was phasing in and out of existence so quick that no one knew what was going on. That was the day Shen saved Noxus from the evil within. One of Shen's recent travels brought him to an Ionian fishing village. A fisherman from this village told Shen that his ship was destroyed by a large monster that killed 6 of his men. After listening to his tale, Shen decided to investigate the shipwreck himself. Fortunately, the investigation was quickly over as he found a silver hair. Most people would overlook it, but Shen was no ordinary man. The hair dissolved into nothing at his touch, indicating that it wasn't from this world. "A demon. You must have sailed into its path," Shen said. The fisherman nodded. The barrier between the two realms was very thin in Ionia. A spirit could easily wander into the mortal realm, and as the Eye of Twilight, it was Shen's duty to strike the beast down for killing 6 mortal beings. "You need not worry. I shall have the monster before nightfall," said a voice behind Shen. Shen turned to see a holy man stand by the local temple. Few acolytes stood around him, carrying the necessary tools for a cleansing ritual. "Can we count on your help, sir?" the man asked. "Balance will be restored," Shen answered. Shen continued tracking down the beast on his own. Soon, a trail of shimmering silver hair led him to a sleeping demon with half-eaten corpses laying around him. Without a sound, Shen got closer to the demon and drew his spirit blade. Before he could ready his strike, loud ghastly screeching echoed through the air. Shen could identify the noise. He heard it many times before. These were the cries of dying spirits. The demon started waking up, and Shen considered his options. After a brief moment, he clapped his hands together and disappeared into a vortex of energy. He arrived back at the shipwreck. He saw smoking pools of black ooze evaporating into the air. These were the remains of the spirits the acolytes caught. The holy man caught a small spiritual imp and tied him on a leash. "Would you care to dispose of this one?" the holy man asked. Shen looked at the black pools. Then he looked back at the man and the imp. "I'm sorry for this, your highness," he said. He put his spirit blade away and drew his steel saber instead. It wasn't the sword he had expected to use that day, but equilibrium had its rules. This is where the first part of Shen's and Zed's story cuts off. The second part will be explained in Jin's lore. So if you'd like to see more, hang around and I will deliver it to you as soon as I can. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you can follow me on all the social media, comment and talk about whatever you want in the comment section, and rate the video to your liking. You know I appreciate all of your support. So as always, thank you, come again.